Nashville, a city that boasts its southern hospitality, is greeting its tourists with scenes like this and this. If you don't live in Nashville or you have somehow been immune to the homeless problem here, prepare to be shocked by what we're about to show you. The homeless can be seen making their way up Broadway, mingling with tourists and locals alike, looking for drinks, dining, and live music. And while this may be the most visible side of Nashville's homeless problem for outsiders, it is far from the only location.
A city with more than 15,000 acres of parks and greenways finds homeless there too, along with their trash and evidence of drug use. You'd be hard-pressed to travel most any high-traffic intersection in Nashville without encountering panhandlers. Fox 17 News relentlessly covering the high cost of homelessness for more than a year. Tonight, a report card on the progress and what's still left to be done.
After more than a decade, Nashville's largest homeless camp, the Brookmead Park Homeless Camp, is now finally closed.
Well, this comes after Fox 17 News has shown you the drugs, death, and crime not only affecting those in the park, but those who live and work nearby. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chin with why it took so long to close that encampment.
This homeless camp had been here for more than 10 years, but now if you take a look behind me, you'll see it's all fenced in with Metro Parks trying to restore the greenway. But what led city leaders to actually close the park? Let's take a look. A greenway in West Nashville to this. A park with trash, drugs, crime, and fires.
The city should be maintaining this.
Lou Wilbanks was one of the first to bring the issue to light, saying the encampment is worse than she imagined.
What I saw in there was horrible. Drug needles, trash, rats, people living in it, human waste everywhere. The three words that I would describe Brookmead when I went in there and until recently is pretty much desperation, drugs, and death.
Fox 17 News first went inside the homeless encampment in July of 2021 with Wilbanks and Councilmember Gloria Hauser.
It's beyond eye-opening. It's stomach-turning. When I look around here, this looks like something that I would see on television with an 800 number underneath where you could contribute. I don't think of this in my city, the city that I love.
We went straight to the director of Metro's Homeless Impact Division at the time, Judith Tackett, with community concerns.
I want to house people. That nobody in Nashville, nobody in the nation should live outdoors, period.
Tackett announced a plan for Brookmead in August of 2021 with a goal to reduce the number of people living at Brookmead and reduce crime by November. At this point, around 80 people were living at Brookmead. 2 months later, Tackett resigned, but Nashville Mayor John Cooper spoke on Brookmead for the first time. Have you specifically visited the West Nashville Homeless Camp in Brookmead Park?
I have.
How many times? I'm just curious.
Well, I get out that way, once a month, I would say.
And what do you make of that specific one?
Well, it's not acceptable long-term in the city as we negotiate good answers for individuals.
Located right off of Charlotte. Fox 17 News continued pushing for answers from the council member who represents the area Brookmead Park is in, Dave Rosenberg.
There's one business that's saying, hey, if something doesn't happen soon, we're out of here. What is your response to that? What do you say to constituents who have those concerns that are that great right now?
It's a really difficult situation. This camp has been there for 12 years, maybe longer. It's continued to exist as various efforts. I think that the efforts happening now are more intense than they have been.
In December of 2021, Fox 17 News continues to press Mayor Cooper on a plan to address homelessness. In January of 2022, we hear from District Attorney General Glenn Funk.
I'm always frustrated because I would like to have solved this problem yesterday or years ago.
A month later, the district attorney visits Brookmead Park for the first time with Metro Police, Nashville Fire, city leaders, and community members.
Do you think that parks or someone should be enforcing these ordinances because those technically aren't allowed in here?
I understand why people would bring propane and try to have warmth and heat and be safe with regards to making sure they don't freeze overnight. But if they're having to do that in a way that puts them in physical danger, and potentially, you know, a large fire that catches very quickly could have dozens of casualties.
Fox 17 News continued to push for answers from the new leadership at Metro's Homeless Impact Division.
A lot of community members and business owners say they fear for their safety and it's affecting their business as well. What response would you have for the safety aspect of this?
As a department, I'm concerned, not only for the business owners, not only for the neighbors, but for those that actually live in the park.
What are your goals when it comes to getting something done with Brookmead Park as soon as possible for people who have seen this camp there for many years?
We're going to let our community decide. We're going to create the public will. We already have the political will.
Up until September of 2022, Fox 17 News had yet to hear from Metro Parks. Remember, Brookmead is a metro park, which means it's the department's job to enforce ordinances and secure the park.
What are you guys doing to address the trash concerns? Is there something you guys are doing to address that concern about cleanups and then it just returning back to how it was before? You know, they've been calling for this for a year. Do you feel that some of this is too late, or?
In September, Mayor Cooper unveiled his $50 million plan to tackle homelessness. Metro Parks decided to hold a special meeting to address Brookmead Park.
Does Parks Board take any responsibility for not having this conversation years ago?
We've been doing our parks cleanups, but I think the frustration is that we've not communicated, a plan quickly enough, and so we want to absolutely do that.
In November, Metro leaders announced Brookmead Park will officially close January 4th. Metro Parks has yet to provide Fox 17 News with a solid plan to secure the park, although a fence has been built for renovations and restoration of the park.
You know, we have such a great watchdog group of people over here.
For members of Reclaim Brookmead Park, this is a win.
Did you ever think Brookmead would not close?
No, because the group of people that we had put together and the support that we got illustrated to me that this was a huge issue, and it's not just an issue in West Nashville, it's an issue all over this city.
But why did it take so long?
Do you think there was reluctance from city leaders to do something about Brookmead, and if so, why?
I think that the reluctance of our city leaders to acknowledge the extent of this encampment and the damage it had been doing to the park itself and the community would be a stain on their leadership.
What do you think made them change their mind and actually do something about Brookmead?
I think the numbers in our community, the strength of the community. We have a lot of different people who were supporting this movement.
A concern community members will continue to keep an eye on, that folks will want to come back to Brookmead and start a new encampment. For almost 2 years now, Fox 17 News has requested to sit down with Mayor Cooper to no avail. Our team has emailed and even gone to his office with no success. At several of his announcements, we have not had the ability to ask him questions, including this January 5th event where Mayor Cooper thanked those who helped house folks living at Brookmead. The mayor gave a quick statement and was rushed out the back door. An encampment in South Nashville will be the next place to close. City leaders hope to house everyone within the next few months. Reporting in West Nashville, I'm Amanda Chin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station. Feeling ignored.
Until we know that this camp's going to be addressed, what will be done in the meantime?
Why some Nashvillians say where you live makes a difference when it comes to the response to the high cost of homelessness.
Business owners and people who live nearby, they're also concerned for their safety. Until we know that this camp's going to be addressed, what will be done in the meantime?
A homeless camp growing in one neighborhood, and those who live nearby say the city is ignoring them all because of where they live.
Dozens of them packed into a community meeting, grilling city leaders essentially about what they're not doing. Fox 17 News' Kylie Walker now with more on their frustration.
It's an issue that many feel is getting ignored. as trash, crime, and junk take over a wooded area behind the Exxon off Old Hickory Boulevard. Now this also spills into the Kroger shopping center.
The community really needs to get out there and do something because businesses are getting destroyed by this.
Nearby resident James McGuire was one of many in a packed community meeting of people demanding answers.
Let's clean this up now.
City leaders went in depth about their $50 million phase plans to clear out homeless encampments. Right now they're working on phase 1, which includes Brookmead Park, but they say it's a complex issue and will take time to clear out the others, not giving a specific date for the areas owned on city property.
I'm sorry, but maybe I missed this, but what is the actual plan to get this cleaned up? So we have the 30 days that was given on February 6th.
WeGo officials, the property owners of the area behind Exxon, had a different answer as they narrowed in on a time frame, adding that they went out into the site on February 6th with Metro Police.
Our focus is to really try to give them efforts and give them opportunities to start moving off. But we also let them know in the next 30 days we need them to remove themselves from that property. In addition to that, as far as...
Now, those who represented the Mental Health Co-op tonight say that they have a team going out on a weekly basis to identify the proper resources needed to address these people, while the Homeless Impact Division says that resources are currently being deployed. And MMPD says they were out at the camp today while continuously working with the city partners.
They failed to keep her safe. That's the message from the family of a 23-month-old killed by fentanyl.
No child needs to be in a homeless encampment. No child needs to be around drugs.
Ariel Rose, spotted in a local homeless camp, died at a housing facility a few months later. The changes her family wants to see and where the criminal investigation stands.
Metro Police are now investigating this case as negligent homicide with no one charged yet. But the toddler's family attorney tells me it's time to put their foot down and let the community know they're not going to let something like this happen anymore. Ariel Rose was just about to turn 1. A month short of her birthday, she died at this short-term housing site for the homeless. The autopsy shows her cause of death: fentanyl toxicity.
But I know for the family it was absolutely heartbreaking.
And ultimately, the family feels like her death could have been prevented.
Oh, absolutely. This was a needless death.
Gerard Strange represents Ariel's grandfather, Mickey Rose. Mickey plans to file a lawsuit against the owner of the building Ariel died at, Kingdom Group, and the tenant leasing from the owner in the coming weeks.
Because they have a duty and an obligation to provide a safe facility for the people that they are leasing to and providing housing to, and they utterly failed in this case.
The executive director of the Tenant Community Care Fellowship tells Fox 17 News in a statement, sadly, Ariel Rose passed away last November while she had been entrusted to the care of family friends by family members. Those friends were residents of a private residential unit furnished to them under a lease agreement by CCF. We also reached out to Kingdom Group, whose attorney tells us Kingdom Group has no involvement in Community Care Fellowship's management of the program. We hope this tragic situation will lead to greater systematic changes in how Nashville addresses homelessness and drug addiction in our community.
Whoever caused her to have those drugs needs to be held accountable, absolutely.
Lisa Wysocki founded Colby's Army, a nonprofit that did outreach for years at Brookmead Park's homeless encampment, where Ariel had been spotted several times last year.
No child needs to be in a homeless encampment. No child needs to be around drugs.
Strange says one of the family's goals is to make sure no other family has to suffer the loss of a child this way again.
We as a society have lost a child that we never should have lost. She'll never be able to grow up, never graduate high school, never walk down the aisle with a loved one, never have children of her own, all because she was allowed to be in a facility that had drugs everywhere.
Brett Pritz is the Assistant Special Agent for the Drug Enforcement Agency in Nashville and talks about the broader and dangerous fentanyl crisis the city's facing.
From 2019 to 2021, the largest increase in overdose fatalities amongst an age group were 14 years and younger.
Just from October to the end of December of last year, fentanyl was the main driver in the increased number of drug overdose deaths in Davidson County. The Nashville fire chief tells Fox 17 News they work closely with the health department and the police department to find ways to mitigate what the chief calls a quiet pandemic. But for Ariel, it was too late. Ariel's family attorney is also actively talking with lawmakers to bring about legislation that would help prevent this from occurring again. Reporting in the studio, I'm Amanda Chen, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
What people think of when they think of Music City, but some spots on Broadway are hitting a sour note. The call for change from those who make a living in the entertainment district.
It is the symbol of Nashville, instantly recognized nationwide, maybe beyond. Our entertainment district, Lower Broadway downtown.
Now, surrounding the hustle and bustle of tourists checking out our honky-tonks and boot shops, a growing number of homeless, sometimes becoming violent. Fox 17 News' Peyton Muse with what those living and working downtown face every day.
We slowed down this surveillance video from Big Time Boots showing a homeless woman grabbing a boot off camera. She reportedly hurls it at an employee. And last week's surveillance video shows a homeless man chasing two women with a belt right outside of the boot store.
The staff feels like we have to take things into our own hands if the police don't respond in a timely fashion. Even if it constitutes a non-emergency call, I mean, a couple hours later, a cop rolls up. Like, what are we expected to do in that time?
Metro Police say the entertainment district is designed to operate during peak hours, Thursday through Sunday, but officers don't typically start their shift until the late afternoon.
I think there should be people stationed out here all day long, because crime doesn't just stop or just start when it gets dark out.
Metro Police tells us the Central Patrol officers cover the Broadway area when the entertainment district is not working. To address the homeless crisis, the department started a new initiative, Blue on Broadway, and dispatch what they call quality of life officers working directly with the homeless community to keep everybody safe.
From a life on the streets to a warm place to call her own, one woman's success story.
From the streets to a safe, warm place to call home. That's the goal of countless people working to end the high cost of homelessness here in the Mid-State.
Tonight, Fox 17 News' Caitlin Miller introducing us to one woman who is making a life for herself now thanks to both housing and other services from Metro.
Angela Leach and her dog Max finally have a home after living at Brookmead Park for 7 months.
It's peaceful here. It really is. It's like home.
But it didn't always look like this. Leach says she's been on and off the streets since she was 11 years old. Leach says she's been battling addiction and was sober for a while, but then she says she relapsed when she was homeless. But Leach emphasizes she's back on track and has been working closely with Mental Health Cooperative.
She got me on track, back on my medicine, and got me stable.
Leach says someone from Mental Health Co-op checks in on her every day. She says she needed this structure. We reached out to Metro's Homeless Impact Division to see if other homeless people will be offered these services. Their spokesperson says the same services are available to anyone in Nashville who's experiencing homelessness. And that's thanks to the $50 million that the city received to address the homeless crisis. And Leach says this is the moment she's been hoping and praying for, to have a roof over her head.
I felt so much loved and cared for. There is hope out there for people like us, I mean, I thought everybody done give up on homeless people, but they haven't.
And she emphasizes she's forever thankful for this.
Fox 17 News is committed to covering the high cost of homelessness.
That's right. You can track the progress both on air and online at fox17.com.